When you think of the U.S. Navy, you probably picture massive warships cutting through the ocean, ready for action, showcasing the might and power of the military. But have you ever wondered how these enormous vessels actually get into the water? What happens behind the scenes before a warship is ready to sail? It's not just about setting sail from a dock. The process of launching a Navy warship is a massive, complicated, and highly coordinated operation that takes years of planning, engineering, and skillful execution. Today, we'll take you behind the scenes to reveal the secrets of how these behemoths are brought to life, launched, and prepared for their critical missions. Trust me, what happens before they even touch the water will shock you. The journey begins long before the first splash of water is even seen. When a new warship is commissioned, it doesn't just magically appear ready to go. There's an intricate process of design, construction, testing, and fine-tuned tuning. All these steps require precision, skilled craftsmanship, and, most importantly, careful planning to ensure that the vessel will stand up to the pressures of combat. First, the ship is designed. But we're not talking about basic blueprints and sketches here. Every aspect of a Navy warship is meticulously planned to ensure it meets the Navy's needs for both offensive and defensive capabilities. Every detail, from the propulsion systems to the weaponry to the comfort of the crew, is carefully considered. This is where the experts come in. Engineers, designers, and naval architects work together to create a vessel that will not only endure the harshest conditions at sea, but also function efficiently as a hub of military operations. It takes years for the design to be finalized, with countless revisions, simulations, and calculations being run to ensure the ship can withstand everything from a missile strike to the rigors of extended deployments. Once the ship's design is finalized, it's time for construction to begin. Shipyards like those at Newport News Shipbuilding or Bath Iron Works are where the magic happens. These facilities are massive, sprawling complexes that resemble small cities. They're where highly skilled workers, welders, electricians, and crane operators come together to bring the vision of the warship to life. The ship is built in stages, with huge sections of the hull being welded and assembled piece by piece, creating what will eventually become the enormous structure that's capable of carrying hundreds of crew members and operating some of the most advanced weapon systems in the world. The construction of a warship is nothing short of a feat of engineering. Each section of the vessel is designed for maximum efficiency and durability. Workers install massive engines and propulsion systems, which will give the ship its power and speed at sea. The internal wiring and systems, everything from radar and communications equipment to the life-gen support systems that keep the crew alive for months at sea, are carefully integrated into the ship's design. It's a delicate process, and every detail must be checked and rechecked to ensure everything will function seamlessly when the ship is put to sea. Once the ship's structure is fully assembled, it's time for one of the most crucial phases: testing. The ship undergoes a series of intensive tests to ensure everything is functioning as it should. This phase is known as sea trials, where the ship is brought to the water for the first time. But before that happens, everything from the engines to the weapon systems must undergo a thorough inspection. Every system must be put to the test, and any issues or flaws discovered must be addressed before the ship can leave the dock. If a problem arises, the shipyard workers have to fix it before proceeding, meaning that this phase can take months of intense work and adjustments. This is where the engineering precision that went into the design truly comes to life, as teams of workers, engineers, and technicians pore over every detail. Now, let's talk about the actual launch. When the time comes for the warship to leave the dry dock and enter the water, it's not just a matter of pushing a button and letting it go. This is a delicate operation that requires the utmost coordination and precision. The ship is launched from a dry dock, a massive watertight basin in which the ship has been built. To launch the vessel, the dry dock is flooded, and the water level is raised to match that of the surrounding ocean. But it's not just about opening a valve and letting the water rush in. This process must be controlled carefully to ensure that the ship doesn't tilt or move in an unpredictable way. Workers and engineers monitor the water levels, checking that everything is rising evenly to avoid any damage to the ship or dry dock structure. Once the dock is fully flooded, the warship is gently floated out into the open water. But that's not the end of it. Launching the ship is only the first step in a much longer process. Once the vessel is in the water, there are still countless systems to be checked. The engines must be fired up, and the ship has to be carefully maneuvered out of the harbor to open water. This is a tense time, as the crew needs to ensure that everything is functioning as expected before the vessel can be considered fully operational. During these early stages, engineers and crew members are closely monitoring every aspect of the ship's performance, from speed and maneuverability to the operation of critical systems like weapons and radar. At the same time, the ship's crew is brought on board to begin the process of familiarizing themselves with their new vessel. Hundreds of men and women from a wide range of specialties come together to operate and maintain the ship. This includes sailors, officers, and technicians, who are responsible for keeping the ship running smoothly. The process of training the crew to operate on a new warship is exhaustive and begins long before the vessel is launched. Each member of the crew undergoes specialized training to ensure they can perform their duties under pressure. As the ship begins its maiden voyage, the crew must also test the ship's systems in real world conditions. The ship's weaponry, radar systems, and communications equipment must all be tested to ensure they can perform at maximum capacity during a combat scenario. Any issues that arise during this phase must be fixed quickly to ensure the warship is battle-dan ready. Once the ship completes these tests and checks, it's ready to enter full service, either as a part of a carrier strike group or independently for specific missions. But while the launch itself is a major milestone, it's just one chapter in a warship's long and challenging life. These vessels are designed to last for decades, and throughout their service, they'll undergo continuous upgrades, maintenance, and modifications to ensure they remain relevant and capable in the face of evolving threats. From weapons upgrades to new technology implementations, the Navy ensures that its warships are always prepared for the next mission. Behind every successful launch, there's a massive team of skilled workers, engineers, designers, and military personnel who have poured their knowledge and expertise into the creation of the vessel. From the initial design phase to the launch and beyond, launching a Navy warship is an intricate high-stakes process that demands excellence at every level. And now you know just how much work goes into ensuring these incredible ships are ready to sail. The next time you see a U.S. Navy warship cutting through the waters, remember, there's a long and meticulous process that made it all possible. This script dives deep into the meticulous behind the scenes process involved in launching a U.S. Navy warship, offering a detailed yet engaging perspective on the complexities and challenges of naval shipbuilding and deployment. 以这个标题生成油管上得爆款文案大概8000英文字符左右，不要有小标题。The dramatic moment U.S. Navy warships hit the sea. Absolutely. Here is the YouTube script for the dramatic moment Navy warships hit the sea. Keeping it around 10 characters in length and avoiding small subtitles, there are moments in military history that leave an indelible mark where sheer power, precision, and raw emotion combine into a spectacle of human achievement. The moment a Navy warship hits the sea for the first time is one of those moments. For those who are lucky enough to witness it firsthand, it's a stunning display of strength, engineering, and dedication. But what happens behind the scenes before these enormous ships hit the water? How does a massive warship, which represents the strength of the world's most powerful military force, make its way into the sea for the first time? Let's walk through the dramatic moment when a U.S. Navy warship makes its debut at sea. It is not a simple task. The process begins long before the ship is even built. The Navy's warships are among the most sophisticated machines ever created. From the aircraft carriers that can carry fighter jets to the destroyers and cruisers that patrol the open oceans, these ships are marvels of engineering. But before they can even dream of seeing combat, they must first go through the harrowing process of being launched. The moment a Navy warship hits the sea is not just a ceremonial occasion, it marks the culmination of years of hard work, planning, and engineering. The ship begins its life in the heart of one of the world's most advanced shipyards, where massive teams of naval architects, engineers, and laborers come together to create the vessel. The scale of the work is breathtaking. Thousands of tons of steel and hundreds of thousands of parts must be carefully assembled into a vessel that will navigate through some of the harshest and most dangerous waters on Earth. The journey starts in dry dock, where the ship is constructed piece by piece, over months or even years. The ship is slowly brought to life. Workers weld together enormous sections of the hull, while engineers install the ship's vital systems, the engines, radar, weaponry, and the intricate network of technology that keeps the ship running smoothly. It's in these moments that the true magnitude of the ship's design becomes clear. It's not just a ship, it's a floating city, a war machine, and a piece of the Navy's power projection all in one. However, construction is just the beginning. After the ship is fully assembled, the next step is to test all of its systems to ensure they can handle the intense conditions at sea. This involves rigorous tests in dry dock to check everything from the propulsion system to the defensive weapon systems. Every part of the ship is thoroughly tested and rechecked to ensure its readiness for the harsh realities of combat. Any malfunction, no matter how small, can result in serious consequences. so precision is key during this phase. Once the testing in dry dock is complete, the time has come for the ship to make its first journey into the sea. This is when the dramatic moment happens. The ship is positioned carefully within the dock, surrounded by workers, engineers, and sailors who have dedicated years to its creation. It's a tense moment for everyone involved. The massive dry dock is flooded, and water begins to rise around the ship. Slowly, almost imperceptibly at first, the ship begins to float, its massive weight lifting off the dry dock floor as the water level rises. This process is not just symbolic, it's a technical feat that requires perfect timing and absolute precision. The ship is carefully guided out of the dry dock, inching its way into the open water. This is the first time the ship has touched the sea, and as it does, it marks the beginning of a new chapter in its life. It's a moment of triumph, but also a moment filled with responsibility. Once the ship is in the water, it must be carefully maneuvered out of the dockyard and into the open ocean, where it will undergo its first sea trials. At this point, the ship is not fully operational. Its systems are tested again in real world conditions. The engines are powered up, the radar systems are tested against the open sky, and the weapon systems are calibrated. This is the moment when the crew takes the ship on its maiden voyage, carefully navigating the waters to test everything from speed to handling. It's a rigorous and critical phase where the crew must ensure that every part of the ship is functioning properly before it can be fully deployed for military operations. As the ship leaves the harbor and sails into the open waters, the emotions are high. For the crew, it's a moment of pride and excitement. For the engineers and laborers who have spent years building the ship, it's the culmination of their hard work and dedication. But it's also a moment of reflection. The ship now carries with it the weight of the responsibility to protect and serve, to safeguard the seas, and to project the power of the U.S. Navy across the globe. As the ship begins its maiden voyage, the crew and the ship's officers are keenly aware of the challenges that lie ahead. The ship may be in the water, but its real test has only just begun. As it moves farther from the shore and into deeper, more turbulent waters, it becomes clear that the ship's true strength lies not just in its size or firepower, but in the ability of its crew to handle the challenges that the sea presents. For the U.S. Navy, these launches are a vital part of maintaining naval superiority. They don't just represent the completion of a ship, they signify the ongoing strength and readiness of the U.S. military. Every warship that hits the sea has the potential to impact the world, whether it's through defense, peacekeeping missions, or combat operations. The dramatic moment when these ships touch the water is not just a milestone for the ship itself, but for the entire Navy. It's the moment when a ship transforms from a blueprint and a pile of steel into a fully operational vessel that will serve as a cornerstone of U.S. power and influence around the globe. It's easy to overlook the enormity of the moment when a ship hits the sea. After all, it's just the start of a much longer journey. But in those first few seconds when the ship floats off the dock and into the water, it represents something much larger than itself. It represents the culmination of years of hard work, dedication, and teamwork. It signifies the beginning of a new chapter, where that warship will go on to protect American interests, project power, and defend freedom. For the crew, the officers, and everyone who played a part in the creation of that vessel, it's a moment of immense pride and anticipation. And as the ship sets sail for the first time, there's no doubt that this dramatic moment, the moment it hits the sea, is one they'll never forget. It's the moment a ship transforms from an idea to reality, ready to face whatever challenges lie ahead.